Guys, welcome back. So we've got all the food prepped, it's all done and cooked. So we're just going to go through kind of showing you how to partition everything off into individual Tupperwares. One thing that I totally forgot to tell you guys at the very beginning, this should probably go on your grocery list if you don't have them, is to get individual sized Tupperwares like you see there. They're pretty cheap. You can get like a 10 pack for like six bucks. Probably want to get like 2 packs of that so that you can just partition everything off ahead of time, which I'll show you in a minute, and then you can just put them in your fridge, forget about it. Come the morning of, you can just grab one or two and go for the day. That way you're not trying to wake up early and put things into separate containers. So you can just kind of show you how the sweet potato fries came out, as well as the meatloaf. It's all done. If you come over and look at the chicken, like I mentioned when we were prepping it, as you can see, it totally falls apart when I touch it. So what I do is just take a fork and kind of just like stir for a minute, and as you can see, it just self shreds. So I've taken some chicken and put it in a separate Tupperware just to demonstrate everything. So I've got everything here set aside that I'll prep, and I'll just do this for each container that you saw set aside on the other counter. So we'll just start with a chicken dish. You can measure them out ahead of time, or you can just eyeball them. I like to use the measuring cups. For me, each meat serving is going to be about a cup or slightly less. I'm a bigger guy who trains quite often, so you can go probably with like 3/4 of a cup of meat, unless you're super hungry or you have a pretty strong appetite. By all means, go with more. Again, the big thing here is we're not necessarily measuring and weighing our food. We're just using the cup to separate things out. But we're not measuring and weighing food. We're really just making sure that what we are eating is coming from good sources, good, healthy, lean sources, so that you can eat as much of it as you want, so you're not feeling hungry at the end of the day. So I've got my meat serving in there. I'll grab my broccoli. I usually just do a handful, but you can see that comes out to about a cup. So just a quick handful of broccoli in there. And I've got my avocado cut up already. I'll just slice this in half real quick. I would just leave the peel on because it makes it easier. But you can peel it if you want. You can throw that in there, and that would be one meal ideally. I'll show you how to prep with the beef. So there's one meal, pretty quick and simple. Set that to the side. We can do the beef. Depending on whatever size of your cooking container is, I usually just do about 1.5 inch cut the long ways, or maybe probably just 1 inch for most of you guys. Just throw that in there, face down. And then here's where you can kind of mix and match. I'll grab a small handful of sweet potato fries and a small handful of broccoli. So you can either just do one big handful of broccoli or one big handful of sweet potato fries, or you mix half and half. But either way, you just want to kind of partition these out. You've got your avocado, cut it in half. Oopsies. I'm just going to throw that in there. So the avocado goes really great with the meat too. You can kind of, if you have a fork that obviously you bring with for your lunch, you can just kind of cut it up with your fork and eat it with the meat. So as you can see, once the food's all cooked, it's pretty easy to prep. Just fill all these out and then throw them in the fridge. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and we'll check back in when I'm done. So we've got everything prepped. The last thing we have to do is kind of cook our salmon. I guess there's really 2 ways that you can do it. It's pretty easy to cook salmon, but again, sticking with the mindset of prepping everything ahead of time, that's what I'm going to do, and just kind of separate those out into separate meals. I like to save my salmon for dinners when I get home. If you're like me and you've had a really long day, you want to sit down and have a tastier meal, which salmon is really good for that. So I've heated up my skillet already. I'm just going to take like a big old tablespoon full of coconut oil that you bought this morning or whatever. Put it in the pan and let it melt. You put plenty in there. don't feel like you've got to be limiting on that. Again, as long as we're getting things from good whole sources, really don't care, what the quantity is. We'll check in after a week, and if it turns out you're eating too much somehow of these, whole sources, we can adjust from there. But I'll let that melt for a second and just show you what everything looks like. So I've just got 9 meals here. You can see you've got a few over here that are already closed up, but you got it all. You've got your meat source, your veggies, a little bit of starch in there, and my good fat. So whether it's chicken or beef, I'm set for the whole week. So I just close these up and stack them up and throw them in the fridge. It looks so pretty. So back over here, looks like my coconut oil is melted. And take my whole slab of salmon. I like to put the skin side down first because you can really, alright, maybe too much. Skin side down first because you can't really burn that side. That's going to come off anyways, unless you like to eat the skin, which I do not. It's a little lemon pepper, or you can put garlic salt on top to season for a little bit of seasoning here. If you've got a grill and you're willing to brave the outdoors right now, then obviously I would highly recommend grilling salmon. It tastes really good that way, but I'm not willing to go outside right now. So you'll cook that. I like to cook it on high heat. You can cook it on medium to low. Probably turn it down to a 9 or an 8 after it sears the first side there. Takes about 15 to 20 minutes. You want to let this side sit for a while longer than you normally would like a burger or something, because again, because of that skin, you don't have to worry about it burning on the side that it is. Once you see the whiteness surround the whole outside of the meat, you just flip it and let it sit for another 5 minutes or so. At that point, I would turn the heat down. Moderate